Hello, everyone. Ryan here, your host for Be a Better Human, episode number 8 with Luke Westlake. Very excited and happy to be here on this fine Monday evening with Andrew Wolwowicz. Andrew is the chef and co-owner at Craft Farmacy restaurant here in London. Thank you so much, Andrew, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor. For you,
Yeah.
anything.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much. It's an honor for me to have you on here. We've known each other for quite a while now, so it was a blessing when you said, "Yeah, I'll do it, no problem." It's kind of
Me
like
and
when
my big mouth, eh?
kind of like when I call you last minute and go, "Hey, Andrew, can I get a table for 2?" Yeah, sure. I'll figure
You know
that out.
what? It's how it is. It's just how it is.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, me and Andrew have known each other for quite a long time now, definitely over 10 years for sure.
Mhm.
And you used to be at another restaurant here in town, the Springs, and you did some other stuff too with Fanshawe and the Growing
Mhm.
Chefs, and the
Yep.
list goes on, right? All
Well,
kinds of different things.
yep. We like to have fun, keep it interesting, and keep learning is a big thing.
Hey,
I
that's one
like
of
to
the
learn.
pillars here.
I'm a sponge.
Yeah, well, that's one of our
Yeah.
pillars, right? Live, learn, love are our 3 pillars.
Yeah. Mine's like, grow, learn, inspire, and
Amazing.
teach.
That's incredible. So we're really excited to have you on. If anybody, I know there's quite a few people watching that know Andrew, and I'm sure have all kinds of
Oh, don't
questions
tell
and
me
stuff.
that.
So, so I'll say what I always say, which is start posting your questions below. Luke will be moderating the questions, and we'll make sure to get to answering as many of your questions as possible. So make sure you ask us a bunch of questions. We really want to shake it up tonight. This is going to be a fun episode. To start off, I just want to say, the podcast is sponsored by Rode Microphones. Thank you, Rode. Any medical advice we talk about on here is not medical advice. It's things that have worked for us, and they may work for you. Please make sure that you take with it for what you will, and do what works for you. And as always, our podcast is real and raw, and the things we'll talk about are very real because Andrew's a very real guy. And I love that about him. And so let's get to it. So let's talk about, so the time that we're in right now, it's very interesting times. And one of the things that I've noticed, because not new to the real estate game, I've been sort of, looking around at, what's going on Realtor. And I noticed a lot of restaurants for sale. Which is wild, all around London. And I'm sure that echoes across Canada and all over the world, that there's all kinds of people who are not surviving right now. But I heard a rumor that you got some online stuff going on. What's that all about?
We are doing groceries. We're doing some takeout delivery with some of our fan favorites, like I like to address them, with a few of our popular items people have asked for. So I think in order to kind of get ourselves established and kind of, I might have to turn my phone off.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Too many people blowing up the phone.
It's just, yeah.
It's all good.
It's we have a new game plan. Like, I think the world's got a new game plan in terms of how we look at things. It's everything old is new again. You can take a lot of that and attribute to how we live our lives every day at the moment, with our getting back to our roots, our family, trying to get into the simplicity.
Yeah.
But what's new for us is the delivery aspect of it, Craft Farmacy, the River Room / Northmore Catering, my partner Jess's company, is we're offering something that you can experience at home that you would normally get when you came and ate with us, right?
That's awesome.
So it's our way of reaching out and saying thank you to the people that are interested and who have come to us day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, right? Because they trust us. They and it takes a lot to get to that point where someone trusts you as a customer, right? So
Absolutely.
we're very happy to be offering that service.
That's
Right?
amazing. So is it the stuff the stuff that people can expect is that being delivered? Because you say grocery service, so I'm wondering, like, you're delivering the meals that you prepare, but you're also delivering like actual groceries, like produce?
Yeah. We'll have a grocery store where we offer meats, different cuts of meats, prime rib, chicken,
Wow.
chicken thighs, We're going to build different boxes as we go along, different packages where you can have your own barbecue box where you want to take, when things kind of loosen up a bit, we're gonna, we just want to give you that experience at home. I think people are they've been cooking a lot together. It's one thing to be isolated at home. It's one thing to be the guy cleaning out your freezer all the time. But what can you do different with the things you have in your freezer, right? Um,
Absolutely.
it's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It
No,
needs to warm
absolutely.
up here.
So what in terms of, the first topic that we posted for people that we were going to talk about is surviving as a restaurant owner slash chef. So how are you surviving? How are you doing, by the way, first of all?
Um, I'm doing. I'm very happy that I get to have people pull up and order food and come pick it up, or we deliver it.
Right.
I'm
Easy.
glad to be at that point in my life where it's something that I am able to do just as well, right? I think we've built a brand for ourselves. We partnered together because I think both of us believe solely on, like, integrity and what we can promise our guests as an experience. um, that's our framework to our business,
Right.
right? So we're fortunate, we don't take it for granted that we get to open up and offer delivery and takeout and grocery, which is a service that we normally don't do. I'm not incorporating catering into that conversation because that's a
Right.
whole different ball game.
Of course.
But we just like to be able to offer our services to the community, give you something a little different on a Friday, Wednesday to Saturday night, 5 to 9 p.m.
So
you know,
in the beginning, like in the beginning, because you're saying like obviously you didn't offer that. So in the beginning, it must have been a bit stressful, right? Trying to sort of figure out your play, right? Figure out how you're gonna make that all happen, right?
well, you know what I am like with social media and technology, right? You know firsthand.
Yeah.
So, for Jess and I, it's kind of a new thing, and we're dealing with platforms that we never really kind of had to step so deeply into,
Right.
right? So, in terms of setting up grocery stores and proper pictures, and just the logistics of making sure the customer has a fluid experience from start to finish, where, you know what, our tolerance for anything less than absolute convenience is at a point where, we got to question it right now, right?
Right.
But so at the same time, we feel we have to offer that experience, and I think we're getting there this weekend. We had a lot of growing hiccups, nothing terrible, more through the technology of the POS system and the ordering guide, right? So I think
Right.
our good friend Jesse Gibb has really kind of helped us out and kind of streamlined what we needed to get done. And we're very, very thankful for that. So I think the guests that come and check out our website, riverroom.ca or craftpharmacy.ca, will have a fluid experience in terms of their shopping experience. So they will be able to take home and, zip
Uh,
some stuff up for themselves.
Absolutely. So, you mean just in general, not necessarily craft pharmacy. You've been doing this for a while. You know, lots of other chefs, lots of other people in the game. How does what's going on right now? Like, how does this affect sh- make like chefs and restaurant owners in a sense of having to diversify and also in the future, how's it going to affect them, like you're saying, when things get back to normal, is this going to be something that you're going to keep offering, and how do you sort of see the future as far as we know it? I mean, we don't know when this is all turning back on, there's lots of rumors, but when it does, how do you see your restaurant business changing?
We can speculate and speculate on how this is going to pan out. It is
Sure.
hard to tell right now,
Yeah.
right? It's just um, it's evolving your business model to a platform which is going to accommodate what we are allowed to do in the future. Will my restaurant of 108 only accommodate 25? Will I actually need to build a patio outside to
Right.
accommodate an open air dining experience? So we are, kind of socially or physically distancing from each other. It's really hard to tell in terms of how we set up our business, the back end, the front of the end, the front of the house. How many cooks will I need, right? How many cooks want to work? It's a tough environment to get people
Yeah.
into back into the workforce, right? We have I think we're pretty stringent with our directives in terms of wearing masks, sanitizers, safe work environment. You know, everyone's working apart from each other. Just to incorporate that into how you want to run a restaurant concept that you had just 2 months ago,
Yeah. That's
going full
crazy. Yeah.
throttle. How do you take that experience and expand on it in terms of you know, what people are going to think of restaurants? I like. What do you think? How do you
Well,
feel
I
this is
mean,
going to pan? Right?
well,
Because
me and Luke,
it's
me
just
and
I can have my worst case scenario or my best case
for
scenario,
sure.
but my goal is to service you
Yeah,
as a customer, right? So I have to kind of, my limitations at this point are what limitations are imposed on me
of course.
in terms of what my regulations are, how many people can have working, this and that. So, you know, we're keeping our finger on the pulse and we're just trying to learn as everyone else is. You know, we have some great restaurants in the city who are doing some amazing things. And, you know, places I love to eat, you know, they're going through the same thing.
Yeah,
You know,
they
it's
are.
just not me. It's just not Jess. It's just not, you know, you with your business in terms of the live performances and
Oh
things
yeah,
like
it's
that.
insane.
You know, it's, you know, I think at the end of the day, we have to build on the honesty and the trust that the customer and the guest has given us and offered us that opportunity by coming through our doors all the time. When you have a family meal, you come see Andrew, you come see Jess, you know, for a wedding or for, you know, a great event. We have to build on that. We have to take what we've earned, what we've worked so hard for, and develop a new model. We'll get there. We'll get there. I'll let you know when we're there. Really, that's what I don't know. I think
Nobody
that's kind
thinks.
of at the answer, right? You know,
Yeah.
but we
Nobody
can't
thinks about the
compromise.
back of house. Nobody thinks about the back of house. Like, me and Luke are in the live entertainment business, and typically me and Luke are at the front of house, soundboard and lighting board. But there's this entire team that's back of house, right? Like running video, running catering, running all these things at a live festival. And your restaurant's no different. You've got a back of house team that's
Yep.
killing it back there. That's making sure that you and Jess and the restaurant that you built, that people are having a great experience. And
Yeah.
it's interesting that you talk about the team having to social distance even in the back, and because they're working together still as a team. So
Yeah.
it is definitely got to be a really interesting dynamic, having to now sort of change everything that you've sort of learned in the
Yeah.
last 2 decades,
Oh
right?
yeah. And you know, the trick is, and you know, is surround yourself with the best possible people, right?
Right.
Somebody that shares the integrity you have, shares that's got that uncompromising commitment to quality. You know, that's where I think you build the teamwork, the frame of teamwork, which we're in a position where, you know, we have such a good, solid group of people, many of them with different talents and expertise that we can take with us. And you know what? Oh, they'll help us just as much as we help them. You know what I'm saying? It's
Absolutely.
it's not a one man show. It's we're in the business to, you know, like my whole thing is the spirit to restore, right? That's I think the phase we're in. We're in which restaurant means restore. It's restore your spirit, right?
Right.
We're in that spot right now, and I think people that have been quarantined for, you know, a month and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you know, you get this kind of sense of yeah, maybe loneliness, isolation. You know, you don't it kind of takes you into different headspace, right?
Yes.
Um, if we can be part of the solution to help you get through that, let's do it. Order
Absolutely.
from Craft Pharmacy. Come and see us. Come and talk to us in the parking lot. Nobody's allowed to come in, right? But just, you know, like, I don't know. You know, there's so many different avenues that we can get into, you know, and I was just,
Yeah, absolutely. So
trailing off
is
there.
the so how do people just a question, like how do if I wanted to order some of my favorite meals from you, like the duck wings, which are fantastic. Um
Oh, yeah.
how do I so how do you order? Like you just is there a website or what's the
Craftpharmacy.ca.
there you go.
Yeah,
Awesome.
right on there. And riverroom.ca.
Okay. Okay, so they're
Right.
both
And
separate
so we
sites.
have our whole list of grocery items. We have our whole list of menu items, and we have some takeaways too that you can take home and feed the family
Okay, cool. And when did this open up? When did it launch?
on the 24th,
The
last
24th.
Friday. So last Friday, Saturday.
Friday, Saturday. Okay, so
Yeah.
you just had it going over the weekend and you had a bunch of the community supporting it,
It
obviously.
was fantastic, Ryan. It was fantastic. We were so overwhelmed with appreciation and gratitude um, at the feedback. There were a couple of hiccups. Maybe we forgot a bottle of wine with that delivery because we're learning this whole system that we're not used to, right? But in an instant, it was there. So we kind of overcompensated on the delivery end just in case we had a hiccup. But you know what? We're living, we're learning. The food was hot. The food was prepared well, and our only goal is to really make sure that you come and call us again. you know
Absolutely.
well, yeah, what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
It's the
a-
trust.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
the other thing that we wanted to talk about is I've had a great experience at your place. I'm keto, obviously, so that makes it sometimes it can make it tough going to a restaurant, right? People all the time they say, how do you eat out? And I tend to stick to certain places, especially when I'm in town, right? And your place is number one on my list. And I'm not just saying that because you're on. It's true. Anybody who's watching, who's I've ever had dinner with or taken to a meeting, I love going to your place. And so, and one of the biggest
Thank you.
reasons for me of course. And one of the biggest reasons for me is because, when I'm there, I know that, whether it's you or your chefs, they're very conscious of my dietary restrictions. And my wife, Lena, when we go together, she's got celiac disease. So one of the things I wanted to sort of touch on, and it's a number of different sort of little topics we'll touch on here, because now you have people who some people I know people in my close family that used to go to the restaurant almost every night and didn't do a lot of cooking in a lot of years because it just got so easy to go to the restaurant all the time.
Sure.
So I mean,
Absolutely, we
you've got
like
a
those
ton of
people.
people out there right now. You got which is great for business, but now these
Oh yeah, it
people are
makes
all
the
at
world go
home.
round. They make my world go round.
Yeah. So now we've got this situation where everybody's at home and a lot of them are going back to their roots where it's like, oh, how do I make an egg, how do I cook a steak, how do I do this? And so one of the things that it's interesting is for those people who do want to make their own to some extent, they can, and they can order groceries from you to do that. They can order groceries and appetizers or desserts as an example from you, right? Any combination. But what I'm interested is sort of to for you to give us and the people watching some insight on, again, back of house stuff that we don't see. Like, how do you go about managing? Because I'm actually interested in this because, I'll go with a group like Lena's birthday. Like, I'll go with a group of like, 20 people or 12 people.
Yeah,
We did our Christmas party there. And,
yeah.
I can't remember how many we had. It was like 20 or 30 people.
Then you
And
guys pull out the guitars and you got a hoedown. Yeah, it's fantastic. That's a Christmas party.
yeah, man.
That is a Christmas
So how
party.
do you go about managing all that? Like, how does that work? And how does that going to work in the future? With social distancing, but more specifically, just reference how it normally works that you are able to manage all these things.
It's an awesome responsibility to be the cook. And I push that out there to all the cooks all over in London, in wherever. Okay. It's an awesome responsibility. Uh, when someone allows you to cook for them, they entrust you with um, their time, right? Their commitment, their pleasure, their wealth, their good health, the whole experience of why they're there for whatever reason they're there, right? So to organize a day, it just whatever game plan you had when you started the day, you have your list, you get in, everything's organized, you take that list and you throw it out, and you just go with it because you know what it's like setting up a show. Same correlation in terms of anything can go wrong at any time, any place. That's where I come down to surrounding yourself with the best possible people. You have people with different skills. You have people with different, you know, oh, he's more of a night cook than a day cook. You know, he's more of a day cook than a night cook. You kind of find their skills, right? Can I hear you? I lost your volume.
Yeah, we're here. We're
Oh,
here.
there you go. Oh, there you go. Oh, hey, Luke.
Hey, brother.
Yeah, you just it's just how do I even answer that? It's just there's so many dynamics from receiving the product to organizing the product to preparing the product to curing it, smoking it, braising it, brining it, chopping it up, you know.
So it's super hands-on, like
Oh,
super
absolutely.
hands.
You know, and when you dedicate yourself to using the best possible, the freshest ingredients, you know, we have so many great farmers that give us great, fun ingredients to use every week. It's just like a, what do we want to do? Sometimes, you know, for me, I my head gets a little busy, right? I'm trying to think. I think of too much at once. Because you have this plethora, this bounty of this local cuisine, you know, like our goal is to offer the integrity in all of that product for any cook every day. My job is to organize everybody, to make sure everybody has a job. This is what we're looking for. I want them to experiment. I want them to try their ideas. I want them to be involved in the thought process because, again, from what I said from day one, you learn from everybody around you,
Right.
right?
So
And
should people be sending you ideas online, like message you on Facebook, like, hey,
oh yeah, you
awesome.
know, once I get to know Twitter, I have Twitter. I think I
Luke's a
joined
Twitter
10
head.
years ago, and a friend of mine, Robin, one of my guys, just kind of just got me into it again. And I still don't really know how to use it, but I would like to do the tweet of the week, meaning like this the feature of the week. Give me an ingredient, and I want to play with it. You know,
Cool.
but that's just a goal. That's a goal. Once I learn how to use Twitter, so you know.
Awesome.
But you know what? It's a team. It's a team. We're a family. We work together day and night. We trust each other with everything that we have because we are all there for the same reason. We are there for the you know, same common goal. I have different levels of cooks in my kitchen, but you know what the important thing for me, and I remind them, is that they were where you once were, right? So we got to teach, we got to grow, these cooks, we got to teach them, we have to inspire them, and we can learn from them. We can learn from their mistakes. Mind
Oh
you, I've
yeah,
learned, you know, like it's in everything, right? It's
I share that.
you
I
got to
share
take
that.
that opportunity. You know, you don't know. I've cooked with some guys that have just they've actually just blown my mind at how phenomenal and innate they have these abilities, right? I'm honored to cook with them. I want to eat in their restaurants one day. I'm just, in my mind, I'm a teacher. I know what I know. I love what I know. I love that the cooks around me, there's meaning to them in what they do, right? It's just not a job. It's just not, they're not transient. They're not there for convenience. You know, they're not there because, you know, they're getting a paycheck. They're there because they want to learn, they want to try new things, they want to be inspired. I like to be inspired by that. That inspires me. You know, that sets my flame, right?
Absolutely.
You know, yeah.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't hear
You
that from
know,
everybody, right?
well, you know what?
Food service can be
For,
a hard industry, man, for transients. Like, so
oh,
the fact that you're saying this about the majority of the guys coming through, that's big. That says a lot.
oh my gosh, I've cooked with a couple guys that have just, I'm like, they're just amazing. You know, like they're just, I like when they take it up and they're just so in it and they want to just, it inspires the passion. That's where you find the passion. That's where they find the pleasure in what they do. And the customer, at the end of the day, Ryan, Luke, they know that. They see it and they taste it. Simple
Yes.
food cannot be prepared by a simple cook. Bottom line, right? You
That's an
have to have the
interesting statement.
integrity. Oh, it's how I live.
Yeah.
That's honestly how I live. And there's probably, I don't know how many things I got. Yes, that's what I preach to people every day. I don't care if you're cooking fish and chips and you're coming to Craft Pharmacy to get fish and chips. I got Matt from Steelhead Foods who gets me the best pickerel backs. And we do the best batter. So you have a great experience. The fries are hot, they're properly cooked, the remoulade is stunning, perfectly piquant and tangy, right? Complements the richness of the fish.
So I gotta
Right?
stop you for a second. You're so passionate, man. You're so
You just got me
passionate about
going.
this stuff. Like,
Is this thing
okay,
2 hours or 1 hour?
here's the question: How did you become so passionate about cooking and food? What's that story?
Oh my, really? It's
Because
kind
you're
of
super
it's kind of
passionate
a
about this.
it's a reverse story in a sense, right? Because um let's start from now. The spirit to restore.
Okay.
We're in a time where it's like everybody's kind of down on themselves in a sense, right? They're isolated. They don't get to see their friends. It's we're doing this virtual kind of thing, which is fun, and but then we're missing that human element and the connectedness of being in a restaurant, and before that we've trained and cooked and worked under mean chefs who've made me cry, and just to what are they trying to, they found something in me to push me enough, right?
Okay.
Like I would find something in somebody to push them enough. Back a step before that, growing up, my parents were farmers, dairy farmers.
Wow. I
Not
didn't
my
know that.
parents per se, my grandparents, but we're on the farm all the time. I didn't eat a tomato on a sandwich until I went to university. I
Wow.
just picked everything out of the garden, right? I watched my grandfather and my uncle sit with the big bowl of the bones and things and shit, and they're like, it's like, oh, ossobuco, bone marrow, a delicacy which now I treasure, for the last 20 years, right? I've seen things. I made butter as a kid.
Wow.
I learned,
How old?
it's, oh my
How old were
God,
you?
since I was born, like not since I was
No,
born, but
like when you were making butter. Like how old were
until I could stand there and churn the butter churn. Okay. I have it in my garage
you? That's
from
amazing.
my grandparents' farm.
Wow.
Right. But then just to smear that on, just to, to learn I had the opportunity, Ryan, to taste what food should taste like, if that makes sense to you. Okay.
Does make sense. A lot of sense.
Mhm.
Um, how do I explain? Now you're going deep here. It's like some people eat to live. The farmers live to eat, right? They grow. I've seen a chicken harvested, till we ate it on the dinner table 2 days later, right?
Right.
You know, um, if you ever tasted a tomato from a garden, as opposed to going to your local grocery store in the middle of December, going,
I know where this is going.
oh, that's a good tomato. It's shiny. No, does it drip down your face when you take a bite of it? No, it doesn't. Ever.
Interesting.
The beauties of ethylene gas, right? But to actually, you know, to grow up planning your day around your dinners, your lunches, what's available on the garden, you know, I had a chance to taste what food actually is supposed to taste like,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
There are many chefs that take advantage of these. You know, like there's so many guys that blow me away with how good they are with the charcuterie. You know, like you got Justin and his boys, you know, Kyle and Terry, and like I've got friends that just do things that are just amazing. Yeah, I can make sausage, I can do this, but they just do their works of art. Okay,
Yeah, they're
I
passionate
love
about it.
that. So I thrive off of that. I love that people appreciate that. But back in the day, when I was growing up, that was life. That's how they survived. You know, eating a kielbasa. We made a mustard. You know, my grandparents, everything was made on the farm, right?
Wow,
So,
that's incredible.
you know, they had the best. Were they the best ingredients? Probably because they were from around their neighborhood. They were dairy farmers. They knew the butchers. They knew the bread makers. They knew the cheese makers, right? They, you know,
How important do you think that is today? Because like I went grocery shopping at the grocery store today, but as I've come to learn in the last year, we're blessed to live here in London, Canada, because there's people from all over the world.
oh,
There's so many organic farms and organic, chicken and all kinds of stuff around here. So we're blessed to have a ton of stuff. And I know there's a lot of people from the London area watching. How important do you feel? I mean, it sounds like you've grown up in this your whole life, and you value supporting local a lot. So how like what do you have to say to people watching in terms of how do they connect with local people, and how important is that?
I think um, it's integral to our community because, hey, do you want a carrot or an apple that was picked in that orchard across the street? It's going to travel 3,000 miles before it gets back to that grocery store. Talk to people that grow the product. There's farmer markets popping up all over the place. They work for it. They grow it. They harvest it. They nurture it. They they're committed to your good well-being, right? They're committed to the flavor they're trying to provide to you, right? You know, I think it's integral. I think everybody has to look up. Oh, sorry, my phone is gonna ring. Everybody's got to look up their farmers. You got local fields. You have, you know, common ground farms. You know, you have like Patrick from Patrick Beans who does his own roasting. You have, you know, like Andrew from Sun Gold Organics. You know,
But
um,
there's stuff around that, like, because I remember one time I came to the restaurant. You're like, "Oh, I got these mushrooms from
oh yeah,
like St.
people.
Thomas or
Yeah,
somewhere."
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm like, what? Really?
Yeah, the guy Rex is his name. He's a mushroom guy, and he just like Andrew. Look what I got for you: lobster mushrooms that you would never ever see anywhere, and
Wow,
so brilliant. And like, oh, you can buy lobster mushrooms at any grocery store, and you might be able to buy 100 grams at a grocery store, specialty. But when you see a lobster mushroom harvested right out of the forest, you're like, ooh, that's why they call them lobster mushrooms because the color is brilliant. I have
right?
people bring me puff balls that are bigger than two of my heads,
That's
you
crazy.
know, and I don't serve them. You know what I do? I walk around the restaurant and I hack a piece off, I fry it up for people, and I just serve it to them.
That's amazing.
You know, because 9 times out of 10, nobody's seen a puffball mushroom, not especially one this big
Yeah, that's
from right down
crazy.
the road, right?
That's
It's just,
incredible. People
yeah,
don't know.
it's
People just don't know. They don't know,
hey,
right?
these people, all these farmers are the ambassadors of our region, right? They look after us. They are the ones that like to make sure we get looked after,
Yeah,
right from Stratford all the way down.
it's incredible. So how did you find all these people? Just you just came across them over time,
Connections,
right?
yeah, you get to know them. Paul Spence, who's I've done a few events, and one event that I was really super happy with was a through Fanshawe College. Kyle Fee kind of organized all of this. It was a Heritage Grains Festival. And so there were different farmers with different grains that they everybody used something different in this dinner. My grain was the Iroquois white corn, which is like, ooh, you know. I was fortunate enough last summer. Michael Smith does this event, the Village Feast in PEI, and I went and helped him out. And I was on mashed potato duty. And I can tell you, my beurre noisette to this day is bang on.
Yeah, baby.
But Guy and Sam next to us were doing the githeri, which is a dish that, at the Village Feast is just like, it's a Kenyan cookhouse stew. Okay. So the point of this event is that it's a fundraiser for the Kenyan cookhouses. Okay. So we feed the kids that, need meals, breakfast and lunch. And githeri is their one pot stew type of dish. Okay. And so my ingredient was the Iroquois white corn. So back to my saying, I'm a rambler, you know that.
It's all good.
So this was a dish on Michael Smith's menu. So these guys, Guy and Sam, did this githeri that was just stunningly delicious. And so I was kind of watching him, and I'm just like texting him one day, hey, like, what are you putting on again? So like, oh, I think we put this. I think we put this. Anyways, I made the dish, and it was stunningly beautiful. It was like 5 hours of boiling corn. Do you ever boil corn for 5 hours?
No.
Yeah, it was a lot of boiling of corn. But the end result with the tomatoes, the coconut, the curry, it was fantastic. And the best part was that the students at Fanshawe cooked it. I just told them how to do it.
Oh, wow.
Right. And it turned out amazing. So, yeah.
So here's a question. So during this time, people should, they should get a hold of you on the website, get some groceries. What should they be cooking right now? What should they be eating more of, and what should they be avoiding during this thing? Because there's some talk of saying, like, people should avoid processed foods, people should avoid sugars. Luke, I think you can speak a little bit to that, right? Like, what are some of the things, Luke, that we should be avoiding? And then sort of, Andrew, what's your take on how we can, what are some of the things that people can make at home that you would recommend? So Luke, what's your take on what we should be avoiding right now?
Yeah, in terms of what we should be avoiding, just really simply, anything that's going to cause you inflammation. So any highly inflammatory foods, and for different people, that's going to be something different. But that can generally be processed foods of that kind. And then anything that you are allergic to, or anything that you eat and you start getting stuffed up, or you start getting itchy, that kind of stuff you want to avoid. So eating clean, again, like local is going to be good, organic's going to be good. If you can, if you're not allergic to that food, if it's not going to spike your insulin, that kind of thing. But Chef Andrew can go far deeper into that, I'm
here,
sure.
Luke. We're going to have a battle. We're going to have a debate. Let's start the debate. What do people want, boys? Okay. Tell me.
Usually comfort food.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why?
Sure.
Why do you think? Let me ask the questions here.
Oh, wow.
We're going to turn this whole platform around here.
Why? Well, I mean, from all the things that I've learned, it's because they go to what they know, and they go to what I guess it really all depends on who, because a lot of times it depends on their gut bacteria. Like, if you're asking me, I'm going to eat something I'm going to eat what I call comfort food, but what I call comfort food is going to be completely different from the average person, right? So, like, I think chicken wings are comfort food,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they are. They are. My biggest seller this weekend was the burger.
I could see that.
Right?
The Bison burger?
The Kraft burger.
The Kraft burger. Okay.
Yeah. Kyle's Kraft burger.
Yeah. Kyle's Kraft burger. That's right. That's
my man. Yeah.
It's a good burger.
He just put a kick-ass combination together, and I was like, oh, this is going on the menu.
Yeah.
right? And it's been delicious since day one, right? So what do people want? How do they know, right? Now we're going to go into, you know, we can take this whole conversation and expand it into how everything's going to develop
Okay.
down the road, right? Which is a lengthy conversation. That might be part two, right?
Sounds good.
Nonetheless, right? But people want to, they're always, who's not complaining about, you know, their good health while they're in quarantine, right? They're looking for satisfaction. They're looking for convenience.
Right. But you can
Right?
prepare that burger as an example. Like I eat that burger and I'm keto. So I eat that burger and it's lettuce wrapped. And, I think,
Absolutely. You know, the menu's a guideline. That's one of my favorite things about you when you came in and people that come in to the restaurant. You know, the menu's a guideline. We love to cook. Cooks love to cook. I can't imagine walking into a restaurant and going, "Oh, well, not that I'll eat everything." But, you know, I know there are people that are very, you know, they're very conscious on your diet. They're very conscious about what they, you know, can and can't eat. And there should be no reason that anybody comes to my restaurant and has to feel like they can't have a good experience, right?
right.
We are cooks. We train for this. We're thankful you walked through our doors. Thank you for coming. You know, thank you for thinking of us. There's 50 great restaurants in the city. There's 10 amazing restaurants in this city. And I don't know the customers go to all of these restaurants. I support them all. I want them to go to all these amazing restaurants. They should have those
Absolutely.
flavored profiles, those experiences, right?
Yeah.
It keeps everybody fresh. But at the same time, if, you know, they can have gluten, there should be no reason why I can't give them a dish that they want, um, unless it's a breaded chicken schnitzel. That's a different story, right?
Yeah.
You got to call ahead for that one. But you know, they should have the same flavor profiles. They should have profiles. They should have the same experience. They should have, you know, they're coming with friends, or they were coming with friends,
Yeah. I was just going to say,
right? You know,
that's a whole other part of the conversation right now, but yeah.
yeah, like, you know, but you know, I think over the years that I've been doing this, I think I've kind of, you know, how do I say? I don't want to say putting a premium on the cuisine, you know, or, you know, I think I've maintained the integrity of the food that I've always done,
Right.
right, in a restaurant. And, you know, and
While
I
finding
think,
a way to do while finding a way to cater to people's dietary stuff. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, other little scrumptious little, you know,
Yeah.
desires they have, you know, whatever they feel they want, right? Can you make this? Yeah, if I got it, yeah, we'll make it.
It's true.
You
Well,
know,
I know
and
speaking as someone who, because I've got Crohn's disease and I'm pretty,
okay,
severely allergic to gluten and dairy. And for the most part, I actually don't go out to restaurants because I've just been burned so many times. And not higher end restaurants, but sort of lower end restaurants where you don't really have a chef per se. Um, so I know that when I find a place and I get really good food, like taste wise, everything like that, but I don't have any issues with cross contamination, like I'm sold for life. Like I'm your biggest cheerleader, because to me that's like you said earlier, people put so much in your hands, and for me, it's not like my windpipe's gonna close up, but I'm gonna have a really rough week if there's any
yeah.
cross contamination kind of stuff going on. So for me, it's like it's even more than that.
Well, you should come to us. Well, you know what? It's you know what? I don't, you know, I can say I feel for you, you know, and I can say I'm very selective when we go out. Like I don't get out often, like never. If I get out, it's a Monday, sometimes a Sunday, and everybody I want to go see, they're closed.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm just and I was like, oh, okay. Um, at that point, you know, it's like, where's my local pizzeria, or where's the guy that makes that burger that he ground himself, right? I think for Luke, I think that's where the integrity of the business comes in play, right? And the people involved,
Mhm.
right? And I think you should have no reason to not be able to go out and enjoy yourself. I know specific cuisines are very, you just can't do anything about it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You
for
know, I
sure.
think you just got to avoid certain ingredients which are used in specific types of cuisine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah, like
So I
I'm
think
never
I know
going
you
out
guide your
expecting to
lines.
get a pizza or anything like
Well, yeah,
that. Like
okay.
I'm
You know
fine
what?
with
I don't
going and
want
getting
to.
a steak.
Yeah, you know, yeah. That's. I don't want to kind of get in there, but I just, you know where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah,
I
no,
don't want to kind of
I've done this
classify what you.
myself a long enough to know that, you know, like I've tried some, you know, like gluten-free pizzas and stuff like that. It's not worth it for me at that point. I just might have a salad. But even then I was like going out to different restaurants, and I'm not going to name any names, but it would be like consistently, like I would order something really basic like a salad with chicken in it or steak cut up in it, and then I would, you know, I would be well known there and specifically say like, please don't fuck me up with gluten or dairy. And I would be eating something, and then midway through, like get a clear taste of cheese or a clear taste like a crouton crunch in my mouth. I'm like, guys,
Yeah,
I'm not asking for gluten-free, dairy-free lasagna here. I just want a simple salad. And you know, like I know that that's not probably going to happen at higher end places. I don't think I've ever had that happen at higher end places. But
it
that
goes
kind of
back
spooked me
to.
from the restaurant thing
I think it
myself.
goes back to what we were talking about half an hour ago. It's just like when you're the cook, right? When it's your restaurant, people are counting on you to do your best. Okay. I know when I'm going out, the most important meal for me is the one right in front of me. So if you trust me with your time, if you go to any good restaurant in London, you trust them with, your experience, they'll look after you. I get what you're saying. It's tough to go to a place, it's, I think you're safer in local environments than you are
Sure.
in more kind of a corporate situation,
Hmm.
right? A corporate setting. Like I mean 10 restaurants where the cooks there are fan freaking tastic.
Hmm.
They're amazing, you know, and I would have no problem going there. Right. So I think you gotta just kind of source those out. And it's as long as you know what, I don't think, you go once, twice. I know I have a list of people. Luke comes in, he's got Crohn's, you can't have this, da, 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 da. You have a list on my wall.
Hmm.
So if you were to come in, and he's like, oh, just tell Chef Luke's here. Go to Luke. Oh, Luke, yeah, okay. We'll make you something. That's what we like to do,
Hmm.
right? That's where it goes back to the menu's a guideline, right? If we can accommodate a dish, absolutely we will.
That's
Bottom line.
that's a good
And you
segue.
know that, Ryan,
I do. I was
right?
just going to say that's a good segue into the next area, right? Which is, knowing the why behind what we do is our third topic for the show. And honestly, I mean, I can speak from experience that, I say that all the time. I'm like, hey, just tell Andrew it's Ryan. He'll know what to do. I
Yeah.
literally say that to the server. And it's just one of those things that, sometimes people take that for granted, and I certainly don't. I mean, I understand. I've had bad experiences myself, Luke, as well with the keto thing where I won't name any names, but there's another restaurant in town, and I went there, and a really bad experience with the server. And and all I was trying to do is ask, is there sugar in the sauce on this steak? Like, is there sugar in this stuff? And it's like, well, of course there's sugar. It's like, well, okay, but I can't have it. So, so yeah, it's very important. And what I want to touch on in the next segment is relationships and people and community. And I think that that's something that, me and you, Andrew, again, we go back a long way. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
something that, I think the relationship that it kind of speaks to what you were just saying to Luke, right? Where you form a relationship with the chef at your favorite local restaurant. And I think when you start to develop a relationship with people that know you and know what you can and can't eat, but more than that, start to understand your tastes, right? Like I remember at the Christmas party, you're like, I'm going to make you this special dessert. And I'm like, really? Because I'm keto. I never get
Yeah.
dessert. My dessert's always black coffee. But,
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, I'm going to make you this thing. So I think that that's something that, from my experience, is that it's very important to not only source out and find your local restaurants, no matter where you're going, uh, but start to build a relationship. Ask 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 to see the chef, say hi, shake their hand, ask to meet the owner, get to know these people. Because if you have a good experience, even if it's a business trip, if you have a good experience, you should go back, you should support them, because I think those kinds of situations are rare, personally.
100%.
Yeah. We have a meaningful engagement, okay, in terms of a client chef relationship, right? You know, if you feel that you have a dietary restriction, you need to address them, right? Um, that's what we do. That's how we live our lives. It's no funny if I don't have you sitting in my chair. Thank you for trusting me. Thank
Absolutely.
you for trusting me with your family. Thank you for trusting me with your staff party. Okay?
Absolutely.
That's what we do. That, and so how do we, the trickiest part of what's happening down the road is we can't lose that connectiveness,
Right.
right? Between us as chefs and a restaurant and the people that have come to trust us over these years, right? Because it boils down to simplicity, right? Everything old is new again. It's just family sitting around the table eating.
Mhm.
If you're not cooking, where are you getting your food from? If you need some food for an event, right, you have to be able to say, oh, I'm going to call Andrew, I'm going to call Jess, and we have these events that need looked after. We can look after it, right? With
Absolutely.
all of your, with all the integrity in place, is what I'm
on
trying to say.
on that note, I had a situation where that happened, right? That we had a situation where we celebrated my grandfather's birthday, and we all couldn't cook. And I gave you a call. I said, hey, Andrew, I need your help. And you're like,
Yeah.
what do you need? And I need, my
Family first,
grandparents
right?
they're my grandmother's a bit of a picky eater at times. And there's various dietary restrictions in the family, like Lena, with celiac, and me with keto, and so on. So you're like, okay, well, what's his favorite dish? And I told you, like, I think I said peas and carrots,
Yes, and
like,
yeah, I
yeah,
did.
like
Yeah, I
chicken,
remember
and
that. I still have that text.
yeah,
Yeah,
and like
plain.
yeah, there was with mayo, and then there was pickles and vinegar, and cucumbers and vinegar, all that
I
stuff.
made you that
You
salad.
made it all.
I
Yeah,
love
it
that
was
salad. Are you
incredible. I
kidding
was like,
me?
this is
Are you kidding
insane.
me?
And
You know
and it was
what?
awesome. And thank you again for that.
Despite all these difficult times, and we still all need to eat.
It's true.
Mhm.
There's, whether you eat to live again or you live to eat, we still all need to eat.
Absolutely.
Let's be uncompromising with our decisions and our choices, right?
Mhm.
Integrity, integrity, integrity. We live off that, teamwork. Honestly, I have how many buzzwords you want me to put out at you? You know what I mean? Like, it's what makes our world go round. It's what makes young cooks better. It's what inspires great cooks to be fantastic.
How
You know?
how do you see, because every time I go to your place, the vibe's amazing, the people are laughing, everybody's having a good time. There's a very strong connection between food and community, food and emotion. And at a time when we're all in a really weird emotional state, not really kind of knowing, well, where we're going and what's going on necessarily. um, People are breaking bread at home. whether they're ordering in like people like yourself or whether they're making it on their own. Um, how important, speaking to the people who are listening out there, how important do you think it is to make sure that everybody is still creating a sense of community and positive emotion in their food and their eating?
Well, if I can say it in one quick statement, the success of that depends on the people themselves.
Right.
Okay. We have to be responsible for ourselves. We have to be responsible, if we have to, for the others around us. I just think that's my best answer for that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Right?
because you've always made sure, like when people come to the restaurant, you've always made sure that the food was great, the experience was great, people were having a good time, So
Oh my God.
I don't think it's going to be any different with your experience now online. I think you and Jess are gonna have the same amazing level of attention to detail and all those things. I would say it's hugely important right now for people at home, whether they're cooking at home or ordering in. I would say it's probably a huge thing to enjoy themselves and to continue to maintain community, even if they got to stick their phone there and FaceTime,
Well,
their friends and whatever.
I know, like you know what? My gosh, where do I start on that? It's
I'm gonna FaceTime you for a recipe.
yeah, you can FaceTime me right now. What recipe you want?
Yeah, it's all good.
It's
Have you
we're
tried that?
honored.
Have you
Hey,
tried that yet? Have you tried
what?
that yet? Like just connecting with people through one of the platforms while you're,
Well, we want to do like there's so much going on right now. We're trying to get this craft pharmacy POS system with the ordering online really, 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 really sucked ass. Sorry. So Jess really worked hard the last 2 days with Jesse to kind of get it organized so it's more streamlined and more efficient and more we can offer some of the pictures of the items we have.
Of
It's
course.
just you've got some directive when you get on the platform because the way it was set up, it was just honestly, it was really, really it was
Really
quite
clunky.
difficult to
Yeah.
maneuver through, right? And I
Right.
apologize for everybody that went through it. They've expressed their thoughts to me already, most of them. And for the others that didn't, thank you for doing it. So Jess has been actually pumping it out real hardcore to get that back end going.
Way to go, Jess.
Yes. Thank you. She's like, oh, can you send me pictures of? I need pictures of this. I need pictures of that. Picture of that. Picture of that. Picture of that.
Whole new world, man.
I think
A whole new
I
You
world.
know.
I think people don't realize who don't deal with back ends and stuff like that, or people who are in this
Nobody sees
particular
what goes on
situation.
behind closed doors.
No, and
Well,
even
take
like
that in a positive way.
yeah, and people don't understand because we've had to, like what Ryan and I are doing, and what I'm doing with Chris Wiley, is that like there's
Oh,
like this sudden pivot that we're having to make, and it's not like these systems were necessarily made to handle this kind of pivot. So I'm sure that it's a lot of the same things where we're like all of a sudden in the situation going, oh shit, how do we service the customers, and how do we, like, I know with what Ryan and I are doing, and with what Chris and I are doing, is basically trying to take the experience that you get in person and bring it online, and it's not easy. It's not easy, and it's not simple, and it's not necessarily cheap to do either.
no, you're so bang on, Luke. Because I can't say that, my success is measured on, I can't say it's measured on sales or the guest counts or just numbers alone, right? I think for me, it comes down to, how we achieve our goals. Okay. What are the achievements we do? We have a loyal following? Do we have people that believe in us? Do we have people that know that we are uncompromising in our commitment to having you come to us?
Mhm.
You got to get in your car. You have to decide to spend money. You have to come and take a drive, spend fuel. maybe wait in line because we're so busy. You committed that time to us. It's unprecedented and unconditional that you will always get looked after. That's our integrity. That's the integrity we have. And, that's, we try and get better every day.
Yeah. Well, I think even just,
no matter how good we think we are every day, you can't sleep, because, there's a lot of great people. There's, if you think you're good, there's 100 people better than you. We just got to keep working to be the best at what we do every day. And that's how we measure our achievements, at what we do every day.
And that goes back to learning, right? Like that's a pillar of learning.
Thank you. Yeah, good listener.
Yeah, it's a pillar of learning. If you're not, people think, oh, I'm good, I know that stuff. No. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards, because there's other people moving forwards, and you're getting left in the dust, right?
Yeah.
So
you can always take pride in being organized and having your good systems in place. But sorry, go on ahead. Yeah,
no, I was just going to say, like, that's why learning is one of our pillars, right? Because I feel very strongly that since me and Luke started this journey with Be a Better Human, I mean, I've learned more about world history. I've learned more about my own family history. I've learned so much that I was never taught, that I never knew. And now I'm starting to learn all kinds of different things about different industries, as we bring people on the show, and we start to talk about their paths. And, then we put that out into the world, like this episode. And then people learn about your behind the scenes and things that are happening in your journey. So I think this is a time when people need to take the time that we've been given as a bit of a gift, in a sense, and really learn what is going on. It's perfect in what you said at the beginning there, where you're old is new again, right? Like, it's so true.
Oh my God. We're sitting around as a family at a table.
Yeah.
You have to talk to people, right? Like, as opposed to going and coordinate, like, people are sitting and cooking together. And that kind of really boils down to, what's a cooking class going to look like in 6 months from now? I'm going to tell you, because I'll tell you in about 2 months.
There you go.
Talk again.
Exactly. We'll definitely have you on again. Hey, I have a question. Speaking of cooking classes, I have a question. A friend of mine's daughter started a cooking thing online, young kids cooking online. You got any advice for the young kids starting their own YouTube cooking channels?
Oh, geez.
Like, I'm talking young. Like, these are like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old kids.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Well, measure. You know what? Actually, I've done some cooking classes. I love doing cooking classes. Here we go. I haven't done one in a while. I did one as a kind of a step in, you would say, for for a group of kids that were kind of and it was one of the best cooking classes I've done in a long time.
Wow.
Measure, care about what you're cooking, and if you fuck it up, you can make soup.
Perfect.
There you go. You can always make soup. No, just really care about it. Really, like, people are like, oh my God, like, as I can attest to any chef, it's just not me, because my God, there are chefs that blow me out of the water every day, and just that I talk to, right? And so it's just not me, but it's just they won't have you. They want to have you for dinner because I can't have you for dinner. Da, da, da. It's just like, you know what? If you are happy cooking what you're cooking, we can taste it. Okay, I live my life off of this, and I teach my cooks, right? And back to, simple food cannot be prepared by a simple cook. You have to just not be afraid of the ingredients. Enjoy yourself. Do it. It tastes better. So, have me over for dinner. It'll be delicious, because I know you'll care. Like, you know what? People that really give a doink about what they're cooking, you can taste it. Anybody can taste it, whether you're a chef or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right? just because I'm a chef, because you know what, you look after accounting and psychological issues and accounting issues and injuries and like you have so many different avenues you got to kind of incorporate into your everyday routine. But when you come to somebody's house for dinner, you just want to enjoy, have fun with it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, because being a business owner and having to deal with all the paperwork and the accounting and the taxes and the
Yeah.
staffing issues, that's a whole different thing than what we're talking about, right? Like
Well,
talking about
it's kind of a pain in the
cooking
ass.
is the fun part, right?
Well, yeah, you would think so, but sometimes it kind of when the rest of the kind of the day to day kind of if you're having a heavy day, it kind of takes the wind out of you a little bit, right? So,
Right.
fortunately, I have a partner that's great at that stuff, and we kind of bounce things off of each other all the time. And I can focus on the food and the organization, you know, and the
There's
day to day bull.
there's having a partner is key. There's no doubt about it. I can only imagine
Well, yeah, she's
not
my work
having
wife. Hey, Jess.
one. Something that I've been meaning to ask you for a long time, going back to like the one time when I ran into you on your birthday at the tasting room. Um,
Oh, and yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that.
So I've been meaning to
Like
ask.
5 years ago, 4
I've been
years
meaning,
ago.
yeah, 4 years ago. I've been meaning to ask you this since then because it struck me that night. I was like, hey, he probably worked tonight, and now
I
he's
did.
here. Yeah, now he's here. How? I'm sure there's a ton of people watching that know you, and may or may not have ever asked you this because I haven't. What kind of hours do you work? Like, when do you actually function and sleep as a normal human being?
Well, it depends on the day. So usually, honestly, I'm get up. Depends on what time Michelle works. My wife, she's like, "Oh, you gotta walk the dog." So I gotta walk the dog, right? And I try and bang in there for about 8:39 every day, and I'm usually the last one to leave every day.
Wow.
It's like you get a good day in by 8:39, 9. There's so many people that are just like, "Oh, we gotta talk to you. We gotta talk to you. We gotta talk to you." Customers just want to chat and say hi. And I just want to thank their asses for getting their ass in the door.
Of course.
Really, honestly, you can't. It's like, it's they're like, oh my gosh, I wanted to try something else today, but I had the chicken schnitzel again for the 9th time. I'm like, well, try something else. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's then you gotta talk. You gotta talk. You gotta kind of I like to make sure I get out as often as possible. And I think every chef should do this
I think it's important.
because you know what? I encourage all of you chefs to do this now,
Yeah,
starting to the people picking up the food in your parking lot. Thank them for coming. It'll come back to you tenfold. Right? You
100%.
know what? We're there already. I want them to know there's a face to the food they're eating. Do you know what I'm
100%.
saying?
I do. I do.
I want them to know that, hey, you didn't have some Yahoo kid cooking your food. We're trained professionals. We care. I have some great cooks around me that, my God, Kyle has taught me so many fun little things during my days with him, and and he makes me laugh like nobody has made me laugh before. And I mean that in a real fun way. You know what I mean? Like,
I do too.
like you just want to you want people to kind of share the values you have, the experiences you have, and you got to learn from them. If you're not learning from somebody, you're really not, you know, in whatever degree, whether they're causing you problems and it's a new experience, to whether they showed you this amazing dish their grandmother showed them how to make. I don't know.
Yeah.
Learn. You have to learn. You have to be able to learn from
Mhm.
everybody around you. As a teacher, you know, you want to be the best teacher you can be. right?
It's true. And I think a big part of coming out and saying hi to the people and talking to them is knowing what's going on, and knowing your audience, knowing your crowd, knowing your clientele, and making sure they're having a good time. See the looks on their faces, and put, like you said, put a face to
Yes.
the food, right? It's huge. Like when I bring people there for the first time, I've brought in a few people there for the first time in the last, obviously it
Yeah.
was before the last couple of months, but in 2020, I had brought a few people there for the first time, and one of the things I say to people is, oh, that's Andrew, and you'd come out from the back, and yeah, that's Andrew. He's the chef here, and he's a really really nice guy. And eventually, you make your way over to me, and I introduce them to you, and now it builds that relationship I was talking about, right? It builds that connection, and and you're the mainstay, right? If you're the chef or you're the business owner or both, and it's your restaurant, yeah, you may or may not have transient people coming and going in your back of house or your front of house for that matter, but you've got but you are the mainstay. So if the relationship with key people in the community or key people coming into town, if that relationship is built with you, they're coming. Oh, I'm going to Andrew. It's his restaurant. I know I'm going to get a great meal from Andrew, right? It's more than just food, right? Now an emotional, personal connection there that I don't think, if chefs aren't coming out of the back and shaking people's hands. I mean, some of the most memorable times in my life in this town, or any town for that matter. I was in New York City for the first time ever in my life, and I had New York pizza in New York, uh, and
Oh,
yeah,
well, you better
and
talk to Jess about that because she's probably gonna tell you it's
and
wrong.
and the owner comes out, and it was great.
Yeah,
Hey, how
yeah.
are you? No, nice to meet you. And there's a couple other restaurants in town that are exactly the same, and you're one of them. In fact, I that's one, like I say, one of the things. Even going back to the restaurant you were at before, always, you were always out, you were always shaking hands, and it's huge. And I love the fact that you're challenging the other chefs to do it, because I think it's fundamental. It's no different than my business, right? I was, for the last probably 3 years, I've been hiding in an office in my business. And I mean, I run a music store. I mean, some of the most artistic, passionate people around, and they're all coming in, and I'd meet them on the street, and they'd be like, oh yeah, man, I bought this guitar, and oh, that's cool, awesome, man. But now that this whole thing has happened,
You're
it's
so
totally
easy to
different.
talk
Now I'm on the
to.
front lines,
Yeah,
because I've had to lay off a ton of staff.
I know.
So now
So
I'm
do
on the
I.
Yeah, so now I'm on the front lines, and people are messaging me on Facebook. Hey man, I need an interface, and you know what? I realize that I'm excited to help them. It takes me back to the reason I started the business, right? It's like, I started this because I like people, and I like helping people.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
just because we're
You
social
know what?
distancing, it
That's
doesn't
why we
mean
get
that we
along.
have to stop acting like humans. It doesn't mean that we have to stop, helping people. We totally can. And I did grocery shopping for 4 families today at the same time. It was insane. My brother's family, my grandparents, my parents, and myself. And it was insane. It took me 4.5 hours to make it all happen.
You know
But I
what?
did
Yeah.
it, and I was proud to do it. I'm proud to be able to help my family and other people out. So yeah, good on you, man. That's amazing.
You have been there for me in a couple shitty days. Sorry. But
It's
you know
okay.
what? And you know what? That's what friends do, right? Over the years that we've known 10 plus now,
Yeah, absolutely. At least.
and yeah, and we live and we embrace the integrity that we bring to our businesses. We exemplify the pride that we want to offer in everybody around us, and we'll stand behind the quality that we want to represent. How's that?
What's your favorite meal at the restaurant?
Oh my God. Like which menu? The takeout menu or the old
Oh,
menu?
whatever. If me and you
Oh,
were gonna
Jesus
have
H.
dinner tonight at the restaurant, what would you eat?
Oh, geez, you're a tricky one. I would do. Actually, I give you the pineapple blue cheese with the steak, but you're like, oh, Andrew, I can't eat the pineapple.
It's true. It's true.
I
No, no,
know.
not me.
I would do the
You.
mushroom. I would do the mushrooms, the wild mushrooms with the steak for
Yeah.
you.
Eh?
Oh, damn, that's good. The
What
wild
would
mush,
what
like
would you eat though? What would you have? What would your thing be?
on which menu? Do you want to do my takeout menu? You want to do my duck and
Let's
waffles? The duck and waffles are so damn dirty and delicious. Like, honest to God, for like duck and waffles, there's like duck, pork belly, and waffles. There's about
Wow,
20 ingredients, 20 components to that dish, which is really you know,
that's
goes
wild.
back to my thing that people laugh like fennel pollen. Oh, Terry. My buddy Terry's like, oh, yeah, bug you about the fennel pollen because I love fennel pollen. But you incorporate all these little things into all these little dishes, right? You know, there's 3 ingredients, keep it simple, but there's a lot of components to build. You know, at home, my wife Michelle, she's the chef.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody's like, oh my God, you're Michelle, you'd be so lucky, married to Andrew, the chef. She's like, yeah, whatever. She's always got soup in the fridge. She makes casseroles. She'll make anything in the slow cooker. She'll always have something in the fridge for me when I get home from work.
That's
Always.
amazing.
It's
Yeah, I hear
you
you.
know, you can't beat it. After like 12, 14 hours, and you're just like, come home, and you're like, oh, you know what somebody said to me today? But you're like, here, some soup. I'm like, I'll eat the soup. It's just, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah,
simplicity.
I'm in the same boat. And I know, Luke, I don't know what your situation is, but my situation, especially right now, I've got a 14-month-old, and not only is she cooking for me, but she's cooking for her. My wife's cooking for her. For her, she's cooking she's making the dog's food, her own food.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. So I mean, my
Nice.
wife's a superhero in that regard too. Luke,
Oh.
are you doing most of the cooking, Luke? Is that happening?
We kind of split it. We kind of split it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really easy because I'm basically just eating steaks every day, or ground beef every
Nice.
day. So,
Oh yeah.
so it's pretty. I'm pretty low maintenance in the food category myself.
Yeah,
But she's basically taking care of everything for her and for my 2-year-old. So she's a rock star at it too.
2-year-old and 14, 14 months. Mine are 22 and 20.
Ooh.
And you're not cooking for them anymore, right?
Well, I do. I'll make stuff
Yeah.
and I'll drop. Like during the quarantine time, I was like, I'll make batches of food and
There you go.
things like that. Isaac, my son's working on a really cool concept that we were playing with. I'll explain it another day.
Okay.
It's on a virtual cooking class. Stay tuned. You and
Ah,
I, Ryan.
there you go. Okay. Amazing. I'm looking forward to this.
Yes.
I could use some I could use some cooking tips, man. I love cooking. I love it. It's amazing. I love preparing food. I love how it tastes. I love how it makes people feel. And I'm not even a chef, man, but I still love it. So I'm looking forward to that.
It's amazing to just experiment with different things.
Absolutely.
Right? Different flavors. Like there's just there where do you start with the rules, right? Like where do you start
there's no
rules with what you can and can't do in cooking? As long as you love doing it, if you have fun doing it,
It's all about the taste. It's all about taste for me. It's huge.
yeah. And then we can build off of that too. That's a whole other, Yeah, it's like it depends who you're cooking for. If you're responsible for other people's well-being, like
Of course.
it's just what Lena doing with Sophie, right? And just with the gluten.
Oh yeah.
And
No, it's huge. And
I think you've done amazing things with your diet. Like,
thank you.
I hands down at how well you've done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like really.
It's been a journey. There's no doubt about it. I'm going on 2.5 years full keto.
Oh, and who figured that?
Yeah. It freaks people out all the time. They're like, so when are you going to start eating bread again or pasta? Or it's like, well, Never.
Having fun? They want. When are you gonna start having fun again?
You know what? It's bizarre, man. If you would have told me, I used to eat awful. If you would have told me years ago that I would crave olives or I would crave like there's peanuts or certain things, I would be like, what? It makes no sense at
Really?
all. Yeah, you're when you change your gut bacteria, like I have, it changes everything. It changes your mindset, it changes your mental clarity, it changes your energy levels, it changes your mood. It literally does.
Changes what you're craving too.
It does
Yeah.
completely. I used to be angry. I used to have frustrated, angry, sort of things about, oh, that supplier, da 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 da, But then, once I started changing all of that stuff inside me, chemically, everything just shifted to this much more positive experience. And I don't just say that, like I mean it. Like and for people who've done, whether it's keto or whatever it is, but if you've done if you started a journey where you're trying to have a better lifestyle with food and with chemical toxicity in your life, the further down the road you go, the better it feels. Like there's no doubt about it. And then when you cheat or when you fall back, you're like, oh yeah, that wasn't a good idea. It's hard to go back. Like it really is. Like if I have sugar, I know it because I start to sweat. Like if I go to a restaurant and I say, hey, is there sugar in that? And they go, no, you're good. I literally will start to heat up. I will know right away. One bite, one taste, I'll know.
Wow.
That's
See,
how
you dedicated yourself. You were bold. You were like, you took a stand. No, seriously.
No,
You trusted people to cook with it. Your
That's true.
food, right? You experimented with a whole new flavor profile and lifestyle.
Yeah, it's completely different. Completely different.
Hands down. Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're an inspiration. to
I think
everybody that really
the
gets into
hardest.
that.
Thank you, Andrew.
No, seriously.
I think
you
the
are.
hardest part for me.
I'm nervous when I cook for you. Well, in a good way. You
In
know
a
what I
good
mean?
way, yeah.
But
Yeah, for sure.
he'll be
No, it's
fine
always
when
been
he thinks.
fantastic. I think one of the biggest challenges for me over the years, especially early in the beginning, is I'm a big cheesecake fan. And I think and certain other things like that. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things is the dessert side of things, because I can always modify the main, I can always modify the appetizers, have a salad, or can always have water or tea or black coffee. But when it comes to dessert, it's very hard, right? So, thank God I've got my mother-in-law and my mother, a bunch of people in my life, my wife. I just had a birthday recently, and she made me these
Yes, you did.
amazing cupcakes with coconut icing on the top, and just again, rock star, right? Phenomenal. But so thank God I have these incredible people in my life that bring me some nice treats sometimes, because that's probably the hardest part of it all. Is I used to love creme brulee, right? Creme brulee, not happening ever again, right?
Well,
Just gotta accept it. And if you're as hardcore as me, but again, I've come to learn that not everybody can do that. So I think at that point, moderation, right? We talk about moderation. Any one thing is not necessarily great in high amounts. You got to, even Luke, you're on a protein diet where you're eating a lot of eggs, a lot of meat, but you're still going back and forth between a few different things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah. Variety is the spice of life, right?
Of course. So I would say for me, that's probably been the biggest challenge with this thing is some of those, high sugar things that, I used to indulge in it. You just gotta say no. And eventually you do have it, but it's it's sweetened with something else. And it just makes those times that much better. Right.
Well, and sometimes you do fall off the wagon, or you go like, hey, I'm going to have a cheat today, or, whatever you want to call it. And like you said, sometimes it becomes not worth it because you go through it. It tastes good. There's some mouth pleasure there, but how your body reacts to it sometimes makes it a lot easier not to have it again for a while.
Oh yeah. You'd know all about that, man. You would know.
Generally I can like get away with a little bit of sugar here and there. I try not to because I have a tendency of falling off the wagon a little bit, and it becomes hard just addiction wise getting back on the wagon. But that's just a boundary that I set personally for myself.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
Andrew, have you ever had anything that you've needed to avoid yourself?
Not
No?
really.
Well, you're lucky.
I think lately I've been coming to having like a distaste for lavender.
Really?
That means anything. I'm just like, I think my wife made something with lavender in it one day, and it was just like too much lavender, and it was just like
Interesting.
Lavender's off. But that's really, I'll eat everything.
Oh, there you go.
I'll eat everything. I'm pretty accepting to the flavors of the world. I like tripe. I like,
There's something about
veggies.
being a chef and eating everything. My grandfather was a cook in the Belgian army, and he's he worked in did a lot of cooking and butchering and stuff over the years and in his life, and that's the one thing is we go out to a restaurant anywhere, doesn't matter, wherever I am with him and we're eating, like, what do you want? He's like, I'll eat anything.
Yeah.
And he'll literally eat anything.
Like, what do you want? I'm like, I don't care. I'll eat it. Yeah. Hey, you know what? Yeah. Yeah.
There's something about that. There's something about, I guess, being a cook or cooking for people and sort of, being open to being able to try anything or eat anything.
It's just like, I think it kind of boils down to my kind of upbringing of, just having an open table, right? Of just farmers, right? You want to understand a country or a people, take a look at what they eat, right? Look.
Where was your family from?
Poland.
Poland. Wow.
Yeah.
So the farm we were talking about, this was in Poland?
No, they're in Lincoln, just outside of St. Catharines.
Oh, okay.
Niagara on the Lake. Yeah.
Wow.
My grandparents, my mom came over on the boat with my grandparents. And just second generation, but that's how we grew up. Living off the land.
I think
that's to that extreme. Hey, I'm part of Growing Chefs, right? I helped a good friend of mine, Andrew, take his dream off the table. Well, I was just a small part of it, right? We started together, and we did a lot of cooking classes with kids, and we go to a lot of schools, elementary schools, and we plant gardens in the classrooms, and we teach them about gardening. Kids don't know that carrots come out of the ground. When somebody eats a piece of asparagus that they've never had a piece of asparagus before, right? It's mind-blowing.
Why do you think kids aren't being taught this? Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, well, that's how we grew up. Like in my generation, right? I'm 50 now, so
you're a young guy.
It's hard for me. I just look at the kids, right, and I look at their kind of social circumstances,
right.
And I've had parents get upset with me because I'd bring ketchup and chips to school, but I'd make fennel ketchup. I make ketchup with fennel, and I make parsnip chips.
Okay.
So it'd be a green ketchup with, parsnip chips. And then parents would get upset with me because I get emails, and Andrew would as well, Andrew Fleet from Growing Chefs. He's like, they were getting upset because the kids were interested in it, and the parents unfortunately had no means to kind of provide this, experience to them.
They will soon. Virtual cooking classes.
Yeah, it's true. It's just I don't know. It's eye opening. I don't know if I can say that to the least. It's eye opening to see what kids don't get to experience. What grows in a garden.
It's true.
They walk into grocery stores like, I didn't know, like with Growing Chefs, they get all these different experiences in these classes where they go to the garden, to the markets, and they go and plant gardens. and they learn how to make salsas, how to cut a tomato. It's just like they don't get that experience at home, which is unfortunate. But it's that's another day. That's
Yeah.
another
No, we don't think
whole
about
other day.
we don't think about it for sure. Like until you brought it up, I didn't even realize like there's probably a lot of young people out there, even if they go to a farmer's market, there's a lot of them that don't have gardens at home and they probably have no idea how these things are grown and how they're picked and when they should be picked and all that
Yeah,
stuff, right?
or the
There's just
means
no
to do
idea.
so. You know.
Like that feeds into kind of one of the things that me and Luke are really passionate about, which is tribal knowledge, right? Like there's this, and you grew up with insane amounts of that from the sounds of it, right? Like there's this tribal knowledge that the family has generation after generation that gets passed down of the right way to sort of
Sure.
do things in the kitchen and in
Yeah.
all forms of all walks of life. So my thing, and you kind of touched on it with saying, kids' social situation is that um in a lot of cases, because they have access to the central computer on their phone or their laptop, they feel like they don't need to know what their parents and their grandparents learned, and so if the average young family isn't planting a garden in their backyard, the kids are never going to know, right? Unless
Yeah.
someone like you feels the need to teach them, right?
There's nothing to guide the decisions to say, hey, this is what we need to do. Right? They don't have a precedence. They don't have the experience.
Yeah.
They're looking for convenience,
Yeah.
right?
And right now, as we've
Which
learned,
is not the
sometimes it's just
purpose.
not there, right? Like, people are going to the store right now and, maybe there isn't that produce that you're used to, or that meat that you're used to, right? And
Yeah,
it freaks people out. They're not used to that in this day and age. They're like, wow, what am I going to do?
I know. Oh
Right.
my God. Oh,
And this swings
yeah.
all the way back around right to what we talked about earlier about getting to know your local farmers, right?
Yeah, because they don't have the support of the community. They don't have the support of the feast, like the feast with their friends when the people sit around the table. Guaranteed just they don't have that repertoire in the kitchen. If you know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
don't have that. It's not part of their daily routine or their it's I don't know.
Luke,
You,
you support farmers locally too, right?
yeah, of course. Like, do you guys think that this is going to change that? Like, this whole situation now is going to prompt people to plant gardens and learn more about gardening and learn more about where food is going to come from, or does it need to get like a lot worse before people really even look into this?
Well, I don't know if you want to say, like, I think here I am speaking again. Stop me anytime. But, I think with the recent bout, like everybody's been kind of not confined, but isolated, I think people are lacking a human meaningful connection with, I don't think you can find that virtually in a sense, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
The social isolation is, are there negative outcomes to all of this? I don't know. How do we get these people? I don't know. To meet the farmer is to meet the farmer. Um, how do we teach somebody through a computer that this is the way we should be? How do you teach them through a computer? I don't know. We're learning that, right? I think.
I would say give it a try. I mean, just all you can do is tell people to give it a try and see if they like it. I think that's, I can speak to one thing, Andrew and Luke. Luke, to say to your comment, I can tell you one thing I saw today that I've never seen before in my life. And that is when I walked into Costco today, I saw a massive rack of like seedling
Oh,
vegetables, like
oh.
grown, like like partially grown vegetables, like to plant in your garden,
Oh
right?
yeah.
It's a massive rack of it, and I'm like, wow, and it stuck out to me because I'm like, that's not normal, right? Like that's not
Right. Look,
normally
yeah,
here.
yeah. No, it's true. I don't know. I think with the internet, with all these people. I don't know. Shall we step into the whole world of convenience again? I kind of touched on that before as kind of being a negative, but um, I don't know. I think it's a topic for a different day.
It is, yeah.
Really,
I think for now, I think that it's a good thing for you and Jess. I think that it's going to allow you to help people narrate what we're talking about, right? Like you have the relationships with the farmers, and you're bringing that to the people on your website, right?
we
So
work hard every day. Every day we change our ideas 10 times a day, right? As to what this might work, or and what do we want to do this or do we want to do that? We don't know. We're trying to do what's best for us, right? Like, and again, what I said before, like every restaurant, there are 50 good restaurants in the city. There's 10 great restaurants in the city. Everybody does what my goal is to be the best at what we do. What we do. That's all I worry about because I want to enjoy the other restaurants. I want to go somewhere else and have a great experience. Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Right now,
You can order. Are there any places you can order in from now? Like now that
I haven't really done any takeout at all.
No,
No, make some money. We gotta.
yeah.
I just no, like you know what? It's not
grinding
even
first.
that. It's just stuff in the freezer. What are we gonna cook? It's just Michelle and I have been having a blast. Just let's throw it on a barbecue. Oh, let's make soup. I had a friend of mine who comes to the restaurant all the time, and he brought me a moose shoulder. He brought me moose loins because I'm just like I just want to make moussaka with moose.
Cool.
So I made moussaka with moose. You could probably eat it too, but a little dairy in there.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm
okay with dairy. Yeah.
I think you could have the moussaka. Eggplant's good.
Yeah, eggplant. Yeah, I can do the eggplant.
Meat, moose, ground moose. I ground some moose.
Yeah, no problem there.
And bechamel on top. Actually, that's a golden meal for you.
There you go. Done. Let me know where I can. Let me know where I can press
Trevor,
the takeout
I need another shoulder if you're watching. It was kind of shoddy. It was okay. It was a decent first run with it, but I need twice as much eggplant. Anyways, long story short.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Well, I'm definitely going to be a customer for sure. There's on this new site. There's no doubt about it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to check it out myself. But where can people find you guys online?
Craftpharmacy.ca.
Craftpharmacy.ca. Cool.
And don't forget to check out riverroom.ca because
awesome.
they have some delicious stuff on there too. Try the pizzas.
And I think you guys have social media as well, right? Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram. Absolutely.
And soon Andrew's Twitter, right?
Well, I have it going on. It's what's my name here? Let me just look it up here.
Oh, your phone's gonna blow up now.
Oh my god. Oh geez. Oh, we got some people from Michigan watching tonight.
Oh, nice.
Fantastic.
Twitter. How do I find my Twitter name?
Luke, do we have any
Jason. Oh, it's at Crafty Chefsky. CRAFTYCHEFSKI.
Got it.
Yeah, buddy.
There you go.
I'm going to Twitter school soon.
That's a lot of fun, man.
There you go.
It used to be a lot more fun, but it's still pretty fun.
Yeah.
You and Luke can exchange notes.
Done deal.
Very cool. Awesome.
What else you guys?
I got it written down. Cool.
All
right, guys. Well, Luke, do we have any questions going on there?
One of the questions from Mike. Yeah, from Mike.
Casino?
What
casino?
Yeah, it is. He was blowing up the stream a little bit there. He's asking, what kind of tea you drinking?
Oh, I was going to ask that.
In which cup? Actually, this tea it's a Labrador. It's from the shrubs in the forest.
Oh, wow.
All right. This was a 10-year rye, a 10-year aged rye.
Oh, well, that's good
Yeah,
too.
So,
Good combo.
there's nobody watching anymore.
It's
there?
all good.
We can talk for hours, boys.
Yeah. We got any more questions there, Luke?
I think that's that's it for the questions.
It's all good. All right. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on.
Ryan, Luke, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, sorry, I was kind of a little nervous, maybe a little talkative, and maybe at times distracted. But welcome to my world.
Yeah,
It's all good, brother.
And we'll talk again soon, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely, we will. I'm gonna go check out your website once we hang up here, and
Perfect.
gonna wait for the moose to come back up on the menu.
No, that's I can't sell that legally.
Oh, that's okay.
It's just a private thing.
That's a private thing.
I don't sell it. No. He brought me moose, and I just made it for some people.
Okay.
It's not a for sale thing. I did one day. We did a drive-by pizza pie party, which kind of took off by surprise.
That's cool.
I made a big batch of dough, and I like to do pieces on my green egg, and it kind of got rainy, so it's just like, this was, I don't know, like Thursday, I don't know, Friday, but 2 days later, I'm like, I gotta make this dough. I gotta make pizza with this dough. So we texted a couple friends, and I saw some neighbors walking by, so we started making pizzas for people. Just pulled everything out of the fridge, and just like, I posted a list of ingredients of what I had in my fridge. Text me with what you want on your pizza.
That's awesome.
6 hours later, 2 more batches of dough later. It was like, oh my God, I got 5 more pizzas. Takes about 8 minutes on a green egg per pizza. So I can time stuff, It was 6 hours of pizza making.
Wow.
Ooh.
But it was good. But the neighbors got fed. Somebody's walking their dog. They're like, oh, Andrew, we make a pizza too.
That's
I
awesome.
was like, shit, I gotta make pizza. My poor son, who's like, Isaac, come pick up your pizza at 4:30. Ended up showing up at 10 to 9 for his pizza. I'm like, sorry, push you back.
So you were doing this at your house or at the restaurant?
Just at my house.
Oh wow.
We're just giving them away. I had dough, and then we had just like so many requests. I had to make more dough. Then we had a lull because I had to let it proof and things like that. It was a super thin. I call them. It's my wife's favorite pizza dough. I call them pizza crackers because the dough is so thin, but it's so good because you can fold it, but you can still crunch it. You know what I mean?
Oh, nice.
It was fun. It was a good time, and it was beautiful, and it was sunny.
That's what I love about it, man.
Yeah.
Bring back that sunlight.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had some of that today.
It was nice today.
It was nice today. I'm hoping it stays that way for a while.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. Well, Andrew, thank you for coming on the show.
Ryan, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely, man. All right.
And Luke, pleasure for having me as well.
Thank you very much for coming on, sir.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Everybody, you can check out Andrew at Craft Pharmacy in London. Please check out craftpharmacy.ca and riverroom.ca to order from their amazing websites. They are getting things rocking and rolling for you so you can eat their amazing dishes at home. Make sure to check them out on Instagram and Facebook as well.
And Twitter at Crafty
and
Chefsy.
Twitter, Crafty Chefsy. There we go.
See if it works.
Yeah.
Shoot me Andrew,
tweet Andrew your recipe ideas, and he will get back to you. And
absolutely, I like a challenge.
There you go, Luke. Thank you so much for doing this with me as we do each and every week.
Likewise, brother.
And everyone
you guys
out there,
fantastic.
Well, thank you, sir.
No, you are. My heart goes out to you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
And thanks for everybody for watching. And until Thursday, live, learn, love, and be a better human each and every day. Be well, everybody. Thanks for watching.